Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. Nervous, but I'm good.
We're we're good. Yeah, it'll be all good. I am the easiest person in the world to talk to. I'm trying to see how I can
You just hit the
set
box.
up.
It should be like a square that looks like a camera type thing, and it'll bring your picture on.
Okay.
Hey Keith. Hey Isha. Hey y'all. Thank y'all for coming in. Hey Daybug. What's up, Cole?
Yeah, it's not letting me go put up the video, but
Let me see if I know it won't. Probably because of your following numbers.
yeah, I just started my account like
That's
3 days
why.
ago.
That's why. But that's okay. That's okay. That is all right. We gonna make it work.
Yeah, we'll make it work.
All right. So how I do my interviews, I give you an introduction and then I start off with the questions.
Okay.
All right. So I'm gonna get to your introduction because I know you're on a time crunch and I don't want to go over.
All right, cool.
All right. Today on Black Girl Tired Book Talk, we are sitting here with the phenomenal Brandon Massey. We're going to dive deep into the chilling, imaginative, and undeniable Black world of author Brandon Massey, a master of psychological thrillers, speculative fiction, and even some Southern Gothic horror. Brandon Massey's literary journey began in 1996 when he sold his first short story to speculative fiction magazine. 3 years later, he self published Thunderland, a bold debut that would soon earn the attention of Kingston Publishing, who republished it in 2002. From there, his name became synonymous with suspense and dark imagination. Since then, Brandon Massey has released over 23 books, including acclaimed thrillers like The Other Brother and Don't Ever Tell. And let's not forget about the supernatural novels such as Dark Corner and Nana, and short story collections like Twisted Tales. As the editor behind legendary Dark Dreams anthology series, he brought together literary giants such as Tanana Ray Dew and Eric Jerome Dickey, helping to carve out space for Black voices in genres often dominated by white narratives. A native of Zion, Illinois, Brandon's stories carried the tension of, yes, Midwest got stories, Midwest and the soul of the South, and the pulse of psychological realism that grips readers from the first page to the last. His latest novel, Blackwoods, continue his tradition of exploring generational curses, greed, and the haunting legacy of Black Southern folklore. Let's get into the mind of a storyteller who has made fear, faith, and folklore his playground.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
Yeah, I'm
I,
happy to be here. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I was, you know, obviously you remember we met a couple months ago in Detroit,
yeah.
and yeah, I was hoping that, and I'm glad you reached out so that we could reconnect and do an even, more in-depth discussion.
Yeah, I have so
Yeah.
many questions, and I had to cut some of them short because I was like, "You can't ask this much." So, this is like a short version of one of Storm's interviews. So, so bear with me. So, I'm gonna start off with you started as a short story writer and editor. How did your
Mhm.
early love of speculative fiction, thrillers, and the supernatural evolve into your signature voice as a novelist?
That's a great question. So the short stories, it's back then when I was starting out,
Mm-hmm.
things were a lot different in terms of how you break into the market.
Mm-hmm.
And short stories, short fiction was really the way to go, where
Mm-hmm.
you would get a story in a magazine. I actually had magazines for
Yeah.
fiction back then. I mean, you don't really see that like an actual print magazine.
Yeah.
You just don't see a lot of that anymore. But so that was my first actual publication. I still remember I got paid $200, and I wish I had actually framed the check, but I needed the money, so I
Yeah.
cashed it. But you know, the thing about short stories is there's only so far you could go with that. I mean, they were just a way to really kind of introduce the industry to your
Mhm.
work, but ultimately, um, I really had to do something longer. And Thunderland was actually the third book that I attempted to write. Now, at the time, I was 19 years old
Mhm.
and didn't know any writers at all, like nobody. But I knew that, and this is the same advice I give to newer writers, is I knew I had to actually finish something in order to
Yeah.
really make any progress. And
Mm.
so that first actual finished book was Thunderland. I literally wrote the first draft in a on loose leaf paper sitting at my grandmother's kitchen table. And it took
Oh.
like a month, literally just a month. And I had all these handwritten pages at the end of that month.
Yeah.
And the book was, let's just be honest, it was kind of a mess. But I was it was legitimately a mess. But I had finished it, and that was the important thing.
Yeah.
And I knew that I would somehow turn that into an actual beginning, as in the industry, one way or another.
Yeah.
And I was just really, really stubborn about getting my work out there, and I kind of took a long journey to even get to the point where I was self-publishing. So that first book, Thunderland, I actually had reached out to Dean Koontz, who was, just one of my literary heroes.
Wow.
And I didn't ask him to read the book. I just basically said, I've followed your work forever. You're a huge inspiration. Will you at least tell me the name of an agent who might read the book? So I
Yeah.
was just asking him to hook me up with an agent, because back then you needed an agent to do anything. You couldn't just approach a publisher, really. You had to go through an agent. And he
Yeah.
actually wrote me back and said, "Hey, I'll actually read your book myself, but
Dean
you just,"
Koontz?
yeah, he did. Yeah. And he said, "But you got to be ready for my honest feedback." And I'm
Oh.
thinking, okay, I'm gonna send this off. And mind you, at the time, the manuscript was almost 800 pages. Seriously. Um, and I'm thinking, okay, he's gonna just hook me up with his agent. I'm gonna be good. Everything is gonna be golden. And he wrote back. He sent me 25 pages of notes, and he said, "You know what? You have talent, but you should probably you're gonna have to totally rework this book, or maybe you should just start something else." That was,
Whoa.
yeah, I mean, but that was the hard truth that I needed to hear from
Yeah.
someone that I really respected. And so I totally reworked the book. Took about a year to do that. I feel like I really learned how to write in that year of
Mm.
rewriting. Sent it back to him, and then he did refer me to his agent at the William Morris Agency, and they ultimately passed on it. So I was sort of back at square one, but at least I knew I had a book that
Yeah.
was at least maybe publishable. And then I ended up a few years after that self-publishing. And then, you kind of picked it up from there where I got the deal with Kensington and everything. But,
Yeah.
I've seen myself as being a writer in this field since I was 15 years old. It's just something
Uh,
that had always seemed like sort of like predestined to me.
yeah.
And that may sound weird to people,
No, no.
um, but it was just it's what kept me going when it was
Mm.
really difficult, when I was getting all those rejection letters from the agents.
Mm.
Just this core belief that, this is something that I was meant to do
Yeah.
is what kept me pushing through, and it got extremely discouraging.
Mm,
It's a lot different now, I think, with
mm,
authors having the whole independent publishing channel open to them.
mhm.
But back then, that just didn't really exist. I mean, you either had to go through the industry or you could self-publish, but you may not get a whole lot of traction. It's just a
Mm.
lot different. But yeah, so
So
that's really how I got going. Go
let
ahead,
me
please.
ask you. So
Hmm.
when you first began in like the 90s, speculative fiction,
Hmm.
psychological fiction were overwhelmingly in more white spaces.
Yeah,
How did your identity as a black man influence the way you chose to tell your stories and represent our culture's folklore?
that's a great question. Yeah, so you're right. And actually, my first draft of Thunderland, I had
Hmm.
written the characters as white characters because that's all I saw in what I was
Yeah,
reading. So, but it just didn't feel authentic to me. And at
yeah,
some point in the process of me revising that book, I mean, I've probably revised that damn book like 50 times. But at some point it clicked, you know what?
wow.
I need to write about my life, the people
Mm-hmm.
that I know,
Mm-hmm.
my experience. I need this to be real. And that's
Mm-hmm.
something that, again, you're talking about, just advice I give to people. Be
Mm-hmm.
authentic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, be yourself. Don't be afraid to be um, as weird as you may think you are.
Yeah,
You have permission to do that. That's what we need in our art. We need people who are going to be authentic. Authentic voices, so important.
yeah.
And so Thunderland, yes, brought the black perspective, if you will, which I really
Mm.
just looked at as just my own personal experience
Yeah.
and was writing about that. And the story just seemed to take on um, a different weight once I
Mm.
started doing that. And so, again, my books are not necessarily like racial sagas,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the primary conflict really doesn't spin on the whole idea of racism and
Yeah.
whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's more of like some of the background sometimes of the environment that the
Mm-hmm.
characters may in, but they're not really about that as the sole topic.
Yeah.
But it's still part of the cultural world,
Yeah.
that I have to build.
You do it well. You do it very well. Like you
Yeah,
can
thank
see
you.
the overhanging plot, but you can get the undercurrents of different
Yeah.
aspects from generational trauma, from
Hmm.
life lessons of being black,
Hmm.
or being a black man or black woman. You get all
Yeah.
that, but you get the overarching plot in itself.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and that's what I really try to do is I don't necessarily want people to get I don't it's not really my objective, oh, I'm going to beat you over the head with
Yeah.
racial messages. There
Yeah.
are other authors who do that really well.
Yeah.
Um, that's never really been my lane, so to speak. I'm
Mm-hmm.
really more of I want to give you just a really exciting story and
Yeah.
characters that feel believable, and I'm gonna whatever racial um, material is I need to I'll add that as it's needed for the story, to
Right.
build that world. But yeah, so me being a black man, I always this is one thing that's really important to me. I really do make it a priority to write at least one
Mm-hmm.
legitimately decent black man
Yeah.
in each story. Um, that's really important to me to show that that we're
Yeah.
not all just
Bad people.
bad people, just thugs, and
Yeah.
I hate that word,
Yeah.
or all abandoning our families. I
Yeah.
hate. So I'm trying to just show a balance. So if I have a bad dude, like if I have like a Dexter and
Mm-hmm.
Don't Ever Tell, then I'm going to show the flip side of that
Right.
um, with another character. It's just really important for me, and I do like to also show. just healthy relationships between black men and women. I feel like I don't, oftentimes we're just portrayed as being, in this sense of conflict.
Bad actors in every
Right,
situation. Yeah.
right, all the time. Like, oh, he's just awful or she's just awful.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that the relationships are perfect because, no
Yeah.
relationship is perfect.
Yeah. Because
But
it definitely was
yeah,
not perfect.
yeah, but at the same time, I want to show people that work through their problems.
Mm,
And do that within the context of, like a suspenseful story.
yeah.
Yeah, so
So, um, you've worked with giants like Tonana Reeve, dude, and Eric
mhm,
Jerome Dickey,
yes,
and many see you as part of that wave that followed Octavia Butler's legacy.
yes.
How has these writers and their fearless approach to storytelling shaped your creative freedom?
Yeah, so I would say, just starting with Tananarive, I've known Tananarive a really long time, and I
Mm-hmm.
actually had reached out to her, um, I could say the late 90s
Mm-hmm.
when she had, right, it was before she published My Soul to Keep.
Mm,
She had published The Between, her first novel,
mm-hmm.
and I reached out to her. She wrote me back, and we kind of just kept in touch
Yeah.
from there. But I would say just her and actually as well her husband, Stephen Barnes,
Mm-hmm.
who's also a fantastic writer in the spec fiction field. He's done some great work as well that, dealing really with directly with black men,
Mm-hmm.
like Blood Brothers, other works of his. But so I always kind of refer to them, and obviously Octavia. I never got to meet Octavia
Mm-hmm.
Butler. I wish I had, but I just didn't get that opportunity. But
Yeah.
with Stephen and Tananarive and Eric, may he rest in peace. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they really set just a great example
Mm-hmm.
to follow and just really, really large footsteps.
Yeah.
It was interesting with Eric, we had the same agent. And it was interesting seeing how his work was really starting to evolve
Mm.
more from, the type of book he was first known for, where they would call him, oh, he's the male Terry McMillan. That's how he was first promoted. And then but his true love was really more of the crime fiction
Mm.
genre. And that's what he was just kind of trying to pull his audience with him into that
Yeah.
area. But he was just a great, great, great. First of all, great guy, just a really,
Yeah.
really great guy, but trailblazer for sure. Um,
Definitely.
yeah, yeah. L.A. Banks. I was mention her as well. She passed several
Yeah.
years ago, but she was,
A great
with her.
paranormal author.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So just trying to be in great company. Um,
Yeah.
trying to measure up to what these giants are doing, and
Yeah.
now we're seeing a new wave. I don't know if
Yeah.
it's a sort of a new wave of authors who are like a S.A. Cosby, for example, where
Yeah.
he's
S.A. Cosby, Eric
yeah,
Sal.
yeah, where
Uh,
they're really just taking things to that next level. So
yeah.
it's just really, really gratifying to see that.
So the genre has exploded in recent years with names like S.A. Cosby, Eric LaSalle, as I was saying, joining the fold. What do you think keeps the stories fresh and resonate for readers across cultural and generational lines?
I think you have to write about going back to number one, authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
People, that always sells.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, Also, though, I think writing about what's relevant in
Mm-hmm.
the world that we live in today
Mm-hmm.
um, is really critical. I know with Cosby's work, you
Mm-hmm.
feel like, at least I feel like when I'm reading one of his works, that, well, his brother's writing about what's happening like right now. You
Mhm.
know, there's
Mhm.
an immediacy to his work that I think is a big part of the appeal. It doesn't read like something that, oh, he could have wrote that
Yeah.
30 years ago, and
Yeah.
um, it's just kind of generic. No, it's very much of the time and place that we're in,
Yeah.
and I think that's what people look for. People want to read about with this genre anyway.
Mhm.
I think we want to read about stories that feel fresh, authentic, and relevant.
Exactly.
And and that is a challenge to deliver that with each book.
Mhm.
And but like one of uh, my personal tropes, I kind of love exploring this, is writing about AI. Because
Mm.
that's gonna be such a huge continue to be such a tremendous part of our lives and
Mhm.
change our lives in some ways for the better, in some ways for the worse.
Yeah.
And I was able to kind of play with that a bit in Bad Influence.
Mhm.
Um, Not so much Good Intentions, but in Backwoods, kind of the story behind that is, and I'm kind of all over the place, so you have to forgive me a little bit.
You are
But
fine.
but Backwoods, so I actually wrote Backwoods in 2017.
What?
And yeah, it's funny because I had someone post a review on Amazon. The book just dropped last month, and they said he just copied the story from this movie Antebellum. Now, Antebellum with Janelle Monáe, I don't know if you saw that.
Yes.
Yeah, that came out in 2020, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I wrote
What?
this book 3 years before that movie came out, but I held it literally on my hard drive because I just wasn't sure what the response would be, because it
Mhm.
was, even for me, it was just a bit even kind of further out there in left field, like just
Mhm.
with, but it felt, I was revisiting it earlier this year,
Mhm.
and I said, you know what, this story actually feels relevant
Yeah.
today, even though it deals with some of these, Gothic, Southern Gothic tropes,
Mhm.
plantations and
Yeah.
generational trauma, these
Yeah.
things, but these things continue to have a pretty important, a lot of influence over our current lives,
It's like full circle.
Yeah.
It really is. So let me ask you, you often wrote with a lens that's both kind of culturally aware, like I was telling you
Hmm.
about that undercurrent,
Right.
and politically sharp, but not political. If you
Hmm.
understand what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you weave the Black American experience, our fears, our faiths, our generational histories into
Hmm.
framework of thrillers, supernatural, and psychological?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I would just say, for like Good Intentions,
Mm-hmm.
um, and every story of mine usually starts with some type of personal seed experience.
Mm-hmm.
And Good Intentions was about, originally the idea was, I had gone to school with somebody, grade school and then junior high, and a really brilliant guy, and but very quiet,
Mm-hmm.
very much, it's very intense.
Mm-hmm.
And I got the sense that there was something going on in his family life that he wouldn't talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And we had this incident at school in gym class, I think it was like ninth grade, um, where we were playing dodgeball in gym class, and he just, somebody hit him with the ball,
Mm-hmm.
and he just lost his shit. I mean, he just went the fuck off. And it was shocking because it was like, holy crap, I didn't know he had that in him. Just incredible amount of anger, this unleashed just like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then I would say maybe a year after that, he just dropped out of sight. I had no idea what happened to him. This is
Mm-hmm.
pre-social media, so it's not like, oh, you could just look him up. on TikTok or whatever. Dropped out of sight. But I always and then literally about 30 years after that, my mother told me that she saw him working at the movie theater, like taking tickets from people coming in. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, you gotta be kidding me. I mean, this guy was like, he was so smart. You would have thought, oh, he's gonna go to some top college and
Mm-hmm.
be this huge career success. No, he's working at a movie theater. And it just made me think, what the hell happened there? Um, and so that's where this good intentions idea came from. But one of the, just to get back to your question, so one of the things that's really important to the main character, Nate,
Mm-hmm.
is he's trying to give black men who've had troubles in their past, trying to give them a legitimate shot.
Mm-hmm.
And he tells people, hey, I know he's served time in prison.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give him a job. I'm going to give him an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And I have personal experience with that in my
Mm-hmm.
family of people who serve time um, for various reasons and then really struggled
Mm-hmm.
to get on their feet when they were released. And so, and you see it so often. I mean, I've got
Yeah, you do.
so many people in my family who've been through the system,
Yeah.
and that's not a unique story,
Yeah.
unfortunately, for us in this country. So that's just one of the things that kind of giving it some, a real world element of, yeah, for
Yeah.
black men, this is real. Would you have written, if I were a white guy, would I have written that? No, totally
No.
not, because it's just not something that they deal with on the same
No.
level that we do.
No.
So that's just one example. You could look at obviously Backwoods, where the whole setting deals with this cursed plantation,
Yep.
and the main character and his family has a very tangled history around this
Yeah.
place and what their role was, in this environment. So, and that took a. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. You're going to ask something.
Because it's okay. So
Hmm.
I don't want to ask all the questions I have because
Hmm.
I told you I'm a big fan, and there's so
Hmm.
many layers to your stories that I have been thinking of questions since I started reading you. So
Okay.
so in your novels like Nana and Dark Corner and Backwoods, that you have this because to me Southern Gothic is just black folklore, you
Yes.
know,
Hmm.
and so you have this like almost Southern Gothic undertone and it's very strong. What
Hmm.
draws you to the intersection of supernatural and Southern black culture?
Yeah, I think it's been a I think it's actually just a part of our cultural history.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I will just say that with these stories like Dark Corner, Nana, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
my approach to this the Southern Gothic was really more instinctive. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't sit down and say I'm going to write a Southern
Mm-hmm.
Gothic thriller. It's really honestly only when people started saying to me, hey, you know what, your books really explore this Black Southern Gothic
It
area. And I'm
does.
like, oh really? I never really thought about it.
It
But
does.
when you dig in, when you look at it, like, yeah, actually it does. But my family, again, just drawing on my own family history
Mm-hmm.
of um, from Mississippi,
Mm-hmm.
um, and like Dark Corner, perfect example, where
Mm-hmm.
that's actually the informal name of the town where my
Mm.
family is from on my actually my grandmother and granddad's side.
Mm.
And it was called Dark Corner because everyone there was black. It was a tiny town, so they called it Dark Corner.
Wow.
Um, yeah, and I actually went there and spent some time researching, the book. And
Yeah.
someone would say, well, you write about vampires. What research is there to do? But, just doing things like talking with the police, the
Yeah.
police chief, different things, location research.
Yeah.
But I just feel like um, when you start digging into our collective history
Mhm.
in this country, it's going to go back to the South
Mhm.
in one way or at some point. Like they all, most of us have our roots there when you in this country. I'm not
Yeah.
talking about like Africa, but
Mhm.
so it's all going to be there. And then when you start looking at that, if you go to, for example, Louisiana, where there's
Mhm.
obviously a very rich um, magical
Yeah.
subculture, at work there. And
Mhm.
then even with other areas in the South, talking about, haints or, just like some other,
Yeah.
um, experience of the supernatural is really just woven into our normal life. And, what's interesting, it's something I've often wondered about is in the typical conventional horror story,
Mhm.
someone sees a ghost. Let's say you see a ghost of your grandmother.
Mhm.
She comes into your room and sits on your bed.
Mhm.
And people in the movies will say, "Oh, I was terrified. It was scary." Why would
Not
you be
black
scared?
people.
Why would you be scared?
Not
That's your
black people.
grandmother.
We
That's your
see that all the time.
right. Like that's your grandmother. Why would you be terrified?
Right.
Just thinking about these are your ancestors. Why would you be
Yeah.
afraid of them?
Yeah.
Um, and so to me, that's like a that's to me is more of an authentic cake of, at
Yeah.
least as a black person, why am I would love to see my grandmother,
Yeah. Yeah. I,
I would.
I wish more horror stories or psychological thrillers would incorporate like ancestor veneration in parts of it,
Yes, yes,
because I feel like that is like a key component that some don't realize would just it makes sense. You know,
yes.
the ancestor veneration.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, we actually had a book published in, I think, 2009, 2010,
Mhm.
me, Tanana Reeve, and L.A. Banks, where we each had a novella. And
Mhm.
the title of the book was The Ancestors.
Mhm. Mhm.
And, each story was um, just had to deal with something about ancestral of importance.
Mhm.
And the book, even though I was technically the editor of the story because it was kind of like my whole idea, but
Mhm.
we just kind of just all got equal billing in it. But my story was actually sort of a semi sequel to Dark Corner. So I always
Mhm.
tell people, because I get a lot of questions about, oh, are you going to write a sequel to Dark Corner? Maybe,
Like
maybe
it's
not,
success.
but that story called The Patriarch
Mhm.
deals with that Dark Corner universe. So I would
Mm.
point people to that if they're interested. But yeah.
So, with thrillers and psychological horror, it demands emotional precision. And
Mhm.
what's your creative process when diving into like the chaotic or terrifying emotional spaces, like those in Good Intentions, Bad Influence, even The Landlord?
I think um, that 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 is I think that's the magic of what writers do
Mm-hmm.
is I think many of us, probably all of us, are sort of these frustrated actors. Like we all want to put ourselves in someone else's shoes and
Mm-hmm.
act like we're somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Like my daughter, she sees me do that all the time because I'm always like impersonating different characters, but just random people. And
Yeah.
no, I'm not going to do an impersonation. I'm not good at them, but if she finds it funny, um, I've got the voices and everything. So it's just like, it's just kind of part of our creativity, just a
Yeah.
natural thing to um, put myself in the viewpoint of a woman. Like, I find that challenging and interesting to
Mm-hmm.
write from a woman's point of view or someone who's older than me or
Mm-hmm.
younger than me. And so I think part of it is pure imagination, but also a lot of it is observation,
Mm-hmm.
being aware of when you go out into the world. Like I love when I do have to go to the airport.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great place for people watching.
It is.
You know,
It
and
is.
because you see people from everywhere. You know, you hear all these different languages, you see families, you see single people, every possible age. It's a
Yeah.
fantastic place to just sit there for a couple of hours if you have time and just listen. You know,
Yeah.
take out your earbuds and just listen to what people are talking about.
Yeah.
You know, and I think every really good writer loves eavesdropping. You know, or you should because it's where you're going to get just a lot of your authenticity when it comes to bringing people to life who may not be reflective of your own personal experience. But yeah, for me, that's a big part of it.
I'm gonna get into two more questions about other things. Then I'm gonna get into Backwoods.
Mhm.
Um, as an author, are there any boundaries you refuse to cross when it comes to violence, trauma, or horror?
Oh, hmm, that's a good question. I've shown lots of different types of violence. Like I've
Mm-hmm.
written about rape and animals getting killed, which
Yeah.
probably brought me a lot of negative reviews. But like, why are folks will trip over a dog being killed, but you kill a person, nobody cares, right? But but I would say mm, I'm not like something like getting deep into something like child pornography or something. I
Yeah.
probably would stay away from that.
Yeah.
Um, just because my personal, like I actually tried reading a book. It's actually a Fredo McFadden book, um,
Oh.
The Teacher, and I just was not really liking the whole thing. She had this little subplot going where one of the adult teachers was kind of made it seem like he was flirting with one of the students, and that just really kind of this gave me a creepy feeling like I couldn't finish it. And maybe it's because I have a daughter who's a
Yeah.
teenager now going to high school. I feel a little more connected to that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So, but I would say I generally don't, I feel like I would write about almost anything. Um, but I think there is a way to do it
Yeah. Yeah.
without necessarily going into all the gory details,
Yeah.
if you will, and rubbing people's face in it. I think at some point it starts to feel a little gratuitous.
Yeah.
Um, I've read books like that where there was a book, gosh, it's a Karen Slaughter novel. I think it was Pretty Girls, maybe getting the
Mm-hmm.
title wrong, where man, she just like went there with rape and everything, and it was really hard to read, like
Wow.
difficult reading. Um, I don't know if I could have written that story personally. So I think I do have my own personal, limitations,
Yeah. Yeah.
if you will,
But that's understandable. I mean, human nature also requires empathy. I know nowadays a lot of people
yeah,
feel like a lot of people don't have empathy, but human nature in itself is about empathy and
yeah,
owning your own choices.
right.
So I just feel like if an author crosses the line into child, we don't
Hmm.
say the R word on TikTok because they trip. So we say grape. Um, when
Grape,
they
okay.
when they do that or showing corn instead of that word,
Hmm.
they tend to me it loses the plot of the story. It
Yeah,
makes the empathy go out the window, and now you are just out there for a reaction.
yes, yeah, yeah,
That's how I feel as a reader when I read something like that.
yeah, yeah. I agree. I I think there's just a way to make it clear what happened without, again, like rubbing the reader's face in it, rubbing your
Hmm.
nose in it, and just getting away with saying, "Oh, I'm an author, I can write whatever I want." Yeah, you can
Yeah.
technically, but you're gonna turn off some people who Um,
Yeah,
they don't
that
want to read that type of stuff. They don't want to read
no.
those gory details, you know?
No, no. But
Yeah.
in the same breath, those same people who like to read that, which is more on what we call pitch black type
Hmm.
situation or taboo type
Hmm.
situations, they will argue, and it always leads back to black people. Why are we always in it? I don't know. But it always leads, well, y'all write urban fiction and they be pew, 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 pew. A lot of books are like that. A lot of books are like
Right.
that. Even some contemporary romance books are like that, you know? And so people don't like being held accountable
Hmm.
for the things that they do. And I've noticed that being in the literary space, that people who write bad things, and I mean really bad things, don't like being holding accountability for themselves. They just want the shock value for the sales, not
Yes.
based off of pure talent.
Right.
So that's how I see it. So black authors often face harsher criticism or are pigeonholed by genre expectations, like
Mhm.
the old guard blueprint of how you're supposed to write things. How do you handle or ignore those limitations and keep your art pure?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I've always kind of been on the fringes. Like when I first started writing and publishing the type of work that I do. I mean, I'd do book signings. Never forget, I was in Mississippi doing a book signing for Dark Corner, and
Hmm.
I told the lady, the black woman, I told her it's about vampires, and she literally, she was about to buy the book. She literally slammed it back onto the table. She said, "You're writing about demons."
Oh God, I hate that. I hate that.
And she just walked out. I'm like, okay.
Wow.
So I've dealt with kind of not being part of the cool crowd
Mm,
from the very beginning. You know, just kind of like, oh, and that maybe that's what maybe helped me and Tananarive get attention to a certain extent because
mhm.
people would say, well, they're the only black authors writing horror.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that was the case for a long time.
Yeah.
Um, so, I've at this point, I've been doing this a while. I just write what I want. I can't worry too much about
Yeah.
who's going to pick it up and how I'm labeled.
Yeah.
I know I do have a fair amount of white readers, I think, but I don't necessarily worry about um, trying to change what I'm doing in these
Yeah.
books, to appease anybody, really, except
Facts.
myself. First and foremost, I have to feel like I'm writing an authentic story. If I'm doing that, then at some point I'm going to publish it.
Yeah.
Just you just never know how folks will respond. Like The Landlord has become one of my most read books, and I wasn't
So
sure anyone would read that. You
it's
know,
so
so
good. So good. But I'm finna skip to your book that just came out.
Mhm.
Backwoods to me feels layered with commentary such as greed, generational curses, morality, even
Mhm.
all money ain't good money type situation.
Right.
How do you infuse lessons of blackness, error, and redemption into your supernatural horror type narratives without moralizing it?
Yeah. Um, yeah, great observation. I'd say it's more of an organic, like
Mm,
instinctive process. Like I don't like reading books where I'm hit over the head with a message,
yeah.
where you just feel like the author is standing on a pedestal and
Hmm.
has the characters saying things that they really wouldn't even say because it's something the author believes and they want to get this message across. I hate stuff
Yeah.
like that personally. So I'm really just as I'm creating the story, I'm really digging into the characters and just literally just looking at it from the perspective of what would this person, as I've created them, what would they actually say or do in this
Mm,
situation? And when you start looking at things from that perspective and you have characters who are in a natural state of conflict, they want
mm,
different things, and that's what's causing them to butt heads. Those
Mm,
types of different layers, if you keep just looking at a scene. I do this a lot when I'm writing a story. I'll write a draft of a scene, look at
mm,
it, think about it. Is there another layer that I could peel back here? Can I dig deeper with
mm,
getting to what this character is really trying to say? What do they really
mm,
mean? Um, and they may not say what they mean. I love writing dialogue where people don't really say, they don't really answer your question. Like you know, uh, you may have one character say, "What time are you going to be home for dinner?"
mm.
Just asking a simple question. What time are you going to be home for dinner? She's asking her husband. And he says, "Oh, you think I'm cheating?" It's like
Oh,
you're having a totally
wow.
separate conversation.
It went to 0 to 100 real
Right,
quick.
right. But that to me is like real, that's real talk. That's like people have their own little dialogues in their heads.
Mm-hmm.
And it's rare for someone to just directly answer a question. Like if you just start to listen to people when they talk, and
Mm-hmm.
they don't really answer the question. They'll answer the question they want to answer.
Yeah.
And so just peeling back those layers of, well, why would he say this or that? Why would she say this? Why would she do that? Really digging into it. And then just that to me, it's like I said, it's more of an organic, um, instinctive process. It's, for me, I don't ever really sit down and say, I've got to explore the subtext of generational trauma in this
Yeah.
scene. I don't, it just never works for me like that.
Huh.
Um, it only actually, it's, I kind of just discover it um, in the process of writing the story. I may have some initial thoughts about certain themes when I come up with the idea for the book, but all those little, nuances that eventually come out, all that is just kind of the process of me. I've just drafting,
Mm-hmm.
peeling away the layers of the characters, and just discovering. It's like a discovery process.
Yeah, because
And if,
every
yeah,
read in your book, every read, like I read book Backwoods, I think about 3 times.
oh,
So
really? Wow. Okay. Thank you.
it's because I try to go in reading a book, just reading. And then the second go around, I'm pretty much trying to, I don't want to sound crazy, but I dissect the characters to find the
Mm,
layers within what the author may have been trying to say or that I might miss. Because sometimes you read a book so fast when it's really good to you
yeah.
that you miss the whole plot because it's just so
Hmm.
good. You went from chapter one to the end.
Hmm.
So it's just like I go back and I really dive deep and I take my notes and I'm like, oh, okay, okay, I get that. Oh, that's a good line. So
Hmm.
it's to me when I read, it's more of I read it for enjoyment first. And then the second go around, I'm dissecting the characters because I'm really like looking for the nuances within their
Hmm.
development.
Yeah. Yeah. I can really, really appreciate that. Um, because as a writer, that's the type of experience I'm trying to create. Like
Mm,
on one level, I want it to be a page turner, but I also want it to be a story that people get more than just, oh, well, it was a fast read. I want
yeah,
them to say it was a fast read, but I really like how he explored this idea or that idea.
yeah,
um, because those are the ideas, like I was saying, those different nuances and layers. That's the stuff that comes to me as I'm writing the story. So
yeah,
it's hard to, if it doesn't all pop into my head as I'm just drafting a quick scene, then I don't know how as a reader you would necessarily get all those details
yeah.
as you're flying through the pages. You almost have to go back,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe not read the whole thing, but maybe certain passages, and go,
Yeah.
oh yeah, that you can sort of see things from a different perspective. You look at it again. I was listening to a talk Walter Mosley gave once,
Mm.
where he basically said reading is rereading,
It is.
where and just talking about how important it is to go back and reread
Yeah.
great books because they have so much to offer that you won't get on that first read through.
Yeah. Do you have time for four more questions? Or do
Yeah, I
you?
could stay on till about like another 5 minutes or so.
Okay, I'm gonna make this quick, and then I'm gonna do your outro.
Mhm.
I wanted to ask Nick in Backwoods. His is a complex and often frustrating character. For me, he was frustrating. He was
Mhm.
he was. I was ready to throw the Kindle. But what lessons did you want readers to, especially Black men, to take away from his journey?
So for him, I think the first thing was just really appreciating his family's legacy
Mm-hmm.
because he was just so he just wanted the money,
Mm-hmm.
sell the land so I can get out of this financial bind that I'm
Yeah.
in. With no real appreciation for the history behind it. Um, so that was probably his biggest learning in that story, and then just some ethical challenges that he had.
Yeah.
Like he had this nutritional supplements business, or he's selling
Mhm.
products when he knows that they're not really the products aren't doing what they're marketed to
No,
do, but he doesn't care.
it's
He's
all
getting
about the
paid.
money.
Yeah, so like you said, all money isn't good money.
It's not.
So,
Yeah.
just trying to hustle people and as
Yeah.
long as you get yours
Yeah.
is not the way to go. And so
Same with the whole marriage situation.
right, yeah, where he just felt like, she checks all the boxes.
Yeah.
And so I want to marry her, not I actually appreciate who she is as a person more of, oh, she's just kind of on paper, she's perfect,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, looking deeper, being more self-aware, I think was a big takeaway for him.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
loved it. It
yeah, thank
actually,
you.
I'm gonna say this before I get to the next question. Nana has always been my favorite, right?
Mhm.
But reading Backwoods, I think it has become my number one.
Really?
Yes,
Wow,
yes, yes.
wow,
I mean, I
wow.
love Nana. Don't get me wrong.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
love that. But Backwoods, it's just, I don't know. It just feels so, I don't know. It just resonates with me in some type of way.
Mhm.
You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? We know people like that in our lives. That
Yes.
it's, money first, family second.
Yes.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying? We
Right.
know we know women and men who are they check off those boxes. I don't love you. I like you,
Mhm.
but I'm stay with you. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
know,
Yep.
the quick hustles type family members.
Mhm.
So it really
Mhm.
resonated. So I that's why I said I went back and kept reading it because I was finding out different things amongst the characters in the plot. So
Mhm. Mhm.
yeah.
I appreciate that. I appreciate
Um
that.
there was a report from the news station. I can't remember which major news corporation was that said black people read the least in America, yet black women are the most educated. Yet we're the most vocal in black authors. What is
Yes.
your thoughts on this whole contradiction?
I mean, it's not my experience.
Right.
So I would question where are they getting these so-called facts from?
Mm,
Because I mean, again, I've been doing this for 20 plus years, and I've gotten thousands of emails and met thousands of black women readers, and actually men too, black
mm,
men, um, which people would swear brothers don't read books.
I hate
That
that.
is not true. That is not true. I get emails from black men all the time. Um, so it's about, well, uh, are they reading? Are the stories for them
Hmm.
offered? If there are, then they probably will read them. But I just don't think it's just not my personal experience that that
Yeah.
statistic, whatever story, is true.
I say all the time that we have so many black authors that are not being seen. And I say this to any black author that comes up here. I usually say y'all marketing this shit, you know.
Hmm.
So that's why
Hmm.
we don't see y'all. We know of y'all, but we really don't see your new books because the marketing is
Yeah,
crap.
yeah,
but
yeah.
but it's so many that write in different genres, different um types of stories, you know what I'm saying? So it's just I feel like the only way to minimize success or just uh I'm not gonna say the glass ceiling because the glass ceiling like Kamala said is like a stopping point.
Hmm.
they don't want to see the greatness in it because if for some
Yeah.
reason it makes them feel less than. So
Yes. Yes.
I just I just feel like, uh it's a lot of support in the black community. It's
Yes.
just a lot of times white readers and readers of different ethnicities don't see themselves in the characters, whereas we as black people who just got reading rights not that long ago had to see
Mhm.
ourselves and envision ourselves in white characters.
Exactly. Yeah,
So,
because yeah, white readers, from my experience, will often pick up a book by me and other black authors, and they just assume the characters are white, and
hmm
they will be startled, dismayed when they find out he's writing about black people. Oh my God! Like someone even said that in a review. Like he said, the villain in Vicious, one of my earlier books, was a white
right.
man. He didn't like it. He's like, all the white guys are bad. And I'm like, he's not even white. I never said he was white. Where are you getting this from? You're just seeing yourself as the default character, and it's not true, you
Yeah.
know? But that's just there. Some of them have this perspective of it's all about them, you know? And
Oh
yeah.
God. So here's your last two questions. Mainstream names like Stephen King, James Patterson, Dean Koontz dominate the shelves. But black authors often get boxed into being in a niche, labeling us. What are your thoughts on the industry's imbalance?
I mean, it's always been like that. I mean, just, and I've been dealing with this from the beginning where they
Mhm.
had this it's a double-edged sword, let's just put it that way,
Yeah.
because as the black readers who are incredibly supportive, they want to know. I want to know who the books, if they're buying about black people. I want to know
Mhm.
where those books are. I want to be able to find them easily.
Yeah.
So on one hand, I get the black publishing imprint, the black section of the bookstore,
Mhm.
which used to be a really big thing back in the day. Not as much now, but
Especially
it was
at
bigger
Borders.
then. Right, exactly. So, but on the flip side, if you're an author, you're trying to sell as many copies as possible, like to
Mhm.
anybody. Like if you're writing a thriller, something that might, possibly appeal beyond, just that core
Yeah.
African American audience, a lot of those readers are just never going to even know your book exists.
Mm.
So it's a double-edged sword. I don't know if I think it goes deeper than just books. I mean, I think
Yeah.
it's just how in this country the
Identity
racial,
politics.
yeah, exactly, exactly. I think it's been a part of this country for centuries,
Yeah.
and all I can do ultimately is try to write the best, most authentic story that I can,
Yeah.
get it in front of the people who might appreciate it, and things will just kind of be just what happens from there is out of my control. But I don't think that's ever going to go away. It's just part of this America, you know.
Unfortunately. And the last question, which is just going to be a lump sum of questions that I had. So bear with me. um, do you feel that black storytelling sometimes falls into preserve? Do you no? I mean, how can I word this? Do you feel that black storytelling sometimes falls short in preserving our folklore, those passed down tales from the South and the North alike? What can we do better? And could you tell people where we can find your books?
Um, yeah, so I think as far as the folklore, I think it's we as authors have to educate ourselves more.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Part of that's going to be talking to the elders in our
Mm-hmm.
community, but also just actually digging in and doing real research to
Yeah.
learn more about, what are those stories? What are those traditions that maybe it wasn't necessarily part of my family, but it
Mm-hmm.
could be a part of other, the families of other black folk, and I could dig into that through just getting, gathering more information and just have to dig into that, find a way to pull it into your stories in a way that feels authentic and
Yeah.
interesting. So that's something I've tried over the years. It is a little daunting though, because a lot of the things that I would like to write about weren't necessarily talked about in my
Mm,
family. So it's just, I would have to just literally just roll up my sleeves and say, I need to learn more about this in order to write about it in an educated
yeah.
way. And as far as where people can find my books, I would say you can just go to Amazon. That's the easiest way. They're in all editions, Kindle, paperback, audio. I know a lot of folks like audiobooks.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can check them out there. That would be the easiest place. Some people don't want to do the Amazon thing. I'm working on getting a Shopify store set up so folks want to
You need
offer
to get one on
purchase.
TikTok so you can have a TikTok
Yeah,
shop.
I've heard that. I just set up a TikTok account like a few days ago, so I'm way behind.
Yeah.
But yeah, I need to get on that too.
I'm gonna do your outro, but I just want to say this has been a highlight of my podcasting career
Thank you.
to be able to speak to you. I was nervous in Detroit, so I really couldn't even get out half of the questions I wanted to ask you. But I admire you so much, your writing
Thank you.
style, the nuances of your characters, the everything.
Thank you.
Um, I just you're amazing to me. You're
Thank you so
my
much.
I like James Patterson. You're my James Patterson.
Thank you so
So
much.
I
Thank you.
really appreciate you. I'm gonna do your outro and I'm gonna let you go.
All right, I enjoyed this. Thank you again.
Hopefully we can talk again because
Yeah.
I need at least an hour and a half with you. Like an hour and a half
Yeah.
because I have so many questions because you have so many books that I literally want to just break down and just like talk to you
Mhm.
about.
Yeah. Yeah, we can do that for sure.
So here's your outro. Brandon Massey reminds us that horror and thrillers are not just about the monsters in the dark, but about the history, culture, and moral questions that haunt us as a people. His work defines what it means to write Black fear, Black folklore, and Black faith in America's literary canon. You can find his books on his website. You can find them on Amazon and follow his updates. Now that he has a TikTok, you can follow him on TikTok for news of upcoming releases, signings, and more. Um, as y'all know, I always say, stay black, stay loved. What's it? Stay loud, stay black. Stay loved, stay loud, and stay black on motherfucking purpose. Um, Brandon, and I also want to say there's a melanin ball coming up for authors in February.
Okay.
I would love to send you information about that.
Yeah,
And
please do.
the Boozy Book Tour is having a fantasy ball that is incorporating thriller, psychological, and horror for Black
Hmm.
authors in Savannah, Georgia in 2027.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. I'd love to find out more about that. Definitely.
I'll send you an email. I
Cool.
appreciate you. You have a good Sunday and bye, you guys.
Bye. Thank you again.